Hello, students, teachers, parents, history nerds. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nutshelled History, where we lay out the facts, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today, we are going to continue our United States history series by looking at sectional divisions and Civil War. Don't forget that there's a link for a fill-in-the-blank worksheet in the description. I just ask that you like and subscribe. I apologize for any mispronunciations ahead of time. I do my best. Okay, let's go. After the American Revolution, the North and South diverged sharply. The North embraced bustling cities, technology, and factories, while the South stuck to agriculture, with cotton and slavery spreading across the Deep South. The big question became whether slavery should extend into the new Western territories. Northern Congressman David Wilmot proposed banning slavery in these lands, but his plan was blocked by the Senate. The Free Soil Party wanted to restrict slavery, while Democrats and Whigs favored letting settlers decide via popular sovereignty. In 1848, California discovered gold, and by 1849, it sought admission as a free state, causing southern states to threaten secession. Senator Henry Clay's Compromise of 1850 admitted California as a free state, introduced popular sovereignty for new territories, and enforced a controversial Fugitive Slave Act, requiring citizens to return runaway slaves. This law infuriated many Northerners, leading to personal liberty laws, the Underground Railroad led by Harriet Tubman, and the publication of Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin, which criticized slavery and stirred further conflict. In the 1850s, Congress's attempts to handle the slavery issue resulted in a chaotic mess. Senator Douglas's Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854 allowed slavery to potentially expand into areas that had been free for over 30 years, contradicting earlier compromises. This led to violent conflicts in Kansas, known as Bleeding Kansas, where pro-slavery and anti-slavery settlers clashed. Millard Fillmore, the last Whig president, alienated both Northerners and Southerners, contributing to the rise of anti-immigrant and anti-slavery political groups. The Know-Nothings, a secretive anti-immigrant party, soon split over slavery, leading to the emergence of the Republican Party. The 1856 election saw Democrat James Buchanan win, while the Supreme Court's Dred Scott decision declared that slaves were property, not citizens, and invalidated the Missouri Compromise. In 1858, Abraham Lincoln debated Stephen A. Douglas on slavery, with Douglas advocating popular sovereignty and Lincoln opposing the Kansas-Nebraska Act. Abolitionist John Brown's 1859 raid on Harper's Ferry, aimed at inciting a slave revolt, failed but intensified North-South tensions. In 1860, the U.S. was on edge with the presidential election looming. Jefferson Davis pushed for strong protections for slavery, while the Democrats split. Northern Democrats supported Stephen A. Douglas's popular sovereignty, and Southern Democrats backed John C. Breckinridge's expansion of slavery. The Republicans, led by Abraham Lincoln, called for ending slavery in the territories, but not touching it where it already existed. Lincoln won the presidency with just 40% of the popular vote and no Southern electoral votes. South Carolina quickly seceded, followed by 6 other states, forming the Confederate States of America, with Jefferson Davis as president. The Confederacy's constitution protected slavery, but banned the import of new slaves to gain British and French support. Lincoln's inaugural address pledged not to interfere with slavery in the states, but to preserve the Union. When Confederate forces attacked Fort Sumter, Lincoln called for 75,000 volunteers to defend the Union. The North had the edge with its larger population, industrial resources, and navy, while the South relied on its military tradition and psychological resolve. The Union's strategy, the Anaconda Plan, aimed to blockade southern ports and control the Mississippi River. In contrast, the South focused on preserving its armies and hoping for foreign recognition. The early battles saw setbacks for the Union, like the Battle of Bull Run, where Confederate General Stonewall Jackson earned his nickname. The Union's focus on the Mississippi Valley saw success with the capture of New Orleans, while naval advancements like the battle between the ironclads Virginia and Monitor marked a shift in naval warfare. During the Civil War, Union officers faced confusion over how to handle enslaved African Americans who came under their control. Initially, some labeled them as contraband, while others declared them free, though Lincoln reversed that due to concerns about border state loyalty. Meanwhile, Confederate General Lee's attempt to incite a pro-Confederate uprising in Maryland flopped, and the ensuing Battle of Antietam became the bloodiest single day of the war. On September 22, 1862, after this battle, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, declaring all slaves in rebellious states free as of January 1, 1863. Though it didn't free any slaves immediately, it redefined the war's purpose for Northerners and ended any chance of a negotiated peace for the South. With the Militia Act of 1862, African Americans were finally allowed to enlist, leading to the formation of the 54th Massachusetts Regiment and their notable battlefield contributions, despite facing significant prejudice and brutal conditions if captured. The Civil War dramatically transformed Northern industry, with increased demand leading to greater mechanization and economic changes. To finance the war, the Union introduced a progressive income tax, raised tariffs, and sold bonds, while also creating a common currency through the Legal Tender Act of 1862. The Homestead Act of 1862 offered cheap land to farmers, and in 1863, the Union enacted a draft for military service. Opposition to the war came from Peace Democrats, or Copperheads, leading Lincoln to suspend habeas corpus. The South faced severe economic hardship due to Union blockades, disrupted agriculture, and similar wartime measures. Families were often torn apart by divided loyalties, and the new technologies of war caused unprecedented casualties. Camp life was harsh, with poor sanitation and dangerous conditions, while women like Clara Barton made significant contributions as military nurses. In the spring of 1863, Union General Ulysses S. Grant shifted his focus to the Mississippi River, laying siege to Vicksburg, Mississippi. After cutting off supplies and enduring 2 failed assaults, Grant's siege led to the Confederate surrender on July 4th, splitting the South in 2 and completing the Anaconda Plan. In the East, after replacing General McClellan with Ambrose Burnside, Lincoln soon replaced Burnside with Joseph Hooker. Hooker's forces faced a decisive defeat at Chancellorsville, where Confederate General Robert E. Lee lost Stonewall Jackson. Lee then attempted to invade the North, leading to the Battle of Gettysburg in July 1863. The 3-day battle resulted in a significant Confederate defeat with over 50,000 casualties, half of them Confederate. Lincoln's Gettysburg Address emphasized national unity. In early 1864, Lincoln appointed Grant as the Union's top commander, who adopted a strategy of total war. William Tecumseh Sherman exemplified this approach, with his destructive march through Georgia, culminating in the capture of Savannah, which he presented to Lincoln as a Christmas gift. As the Union sought to capture Petersburg, Virginia, a crucial railroad hub, General Grant employed siege tactics similar to those used at Vicksburg. Despite suffering over 40,000 casualties, the Union's persistence eventually led to Confederate General Robert E. Lee's retreat from Petersburg on April 2, 1865. Lee surrendered to Grant at Appomattox Courthouse on April 9, 1865. The 13th Amendment proposed to abolish slavery was a key issue in negotiations, but the South refused to accept a future without slavery. On April 14, 1865, President Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth, uniting his supporters and critics in grief. The North's superior resources and leadership, combined with the Anaconda Plan's success, led to Union victory. The war's aftermath saw over 600,000 dead and left the South devastated, while the North experienced continued industrial growth. The Civil War solidified federal authority but did not end debates over states' rights. Time for a little recap. After the American Revolution, the North and South developed distinct societies, with the North industrializing and the South remaining agricultural, with slavery spreading. The debate over whether to extend slavery into new Western territories led to conflicts and political divisions, including the Compromise of 1850 and the contentious Kansas-Nebraska Act. By the 1860s, the election of Abraham Lincoln, who opposed the expansion of slavery, prompted Southern states to secede and form the Confederate States of America. The Civil War ensued, marked by significant battles such as Gettysburg and Vicksburg, and strategic shifts like Grant's siege tactics and Sherman's total war strategy. The war dramatically transformed Northern industry, led to the Emancipation Proclamation and the recruitment of African American soldiers, and ended with Lee's surrender in 1865. Lincoln's assassination further impacted the nation, which saw continued industrial growth in the North and devastation in the South, solidifying federal authority but leaving unresolved debates over states' rights. There you have it, folks. That is sectionalism and Civil War nutshelled. Thanks for stopping by Nutshelled History. Go nuts on those like and subscribe buttons, and don't forget to stop by Nutshelled History soon so we can reconstruct this place.